Well, it's December 10th in Still River, and it's more like uh, April or May 10th. It's in the high 50s this morning and 60 this afternoon, and it's going to be that way all week. We haven't had any winter yet, and I'm pleased, and a lot of people are, except for the snow bunnies. And preparation in Still River for the Christmas holidays is now officially started. Um, St. Ignatz put up the manger scene, and they got the animals from Chesterfield's absolutely real free range farm, and they got a couple of sheep, a goat, a small heifer, some couple of lambs, a pig, and a peacock of all things. I don't know where they got the peacock from, but anyway, and they set up the manger scene, and they got the hay and the feed in the back, and I guess the animals didn't like it. They got rammy, or the feed was really high vitamin, and they got rammy, and somehow the pig rooted under the fence, so did the pheasant, and the heifer jumped over the fence. It wasn't high enough, and the free-range animals got out onto Main Street, and they had to herd them back. They got the kids to come and herd them back, and pig walked into a diner. The heifer walked into a local convenience store and hung out there, and some of the kids started feeding them ice cream, which was unusual. And so they brought them back, and choir practice is in full swing. The new choir, they had a temporary choir director for the Good Shepherd Lutheran Church, and because they couldn't pay the other choir director, because he wanted to get paid by by each practice, and they only could afford like a couple $100. But there was a graduate student from a music school from the college in town, and state college, and he had high ideals, but he offered to do it free because he had choir training. He knew how to get the choir in order, but he was a little obsessive, to say the least. At the end, he wanted the end section of Samuel Barber's Adagio for strings. If you ever heard that, it's like these high harmonic with overtones, angel voices that they said was literally almost impossible to do. Even the Vienna Boys Choir had a hard time trying to do that. But he tried to work the people in, and there were a couple of, about four preteen girls who could hit those notes. And what happened was he scheduled choir practice 3 nights a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday afternoons at 3. And that started about the week after Thanksgiving, and he worked them. I mean, he was the grinder of choir, and the funny thing happened was that the notes that they were singing at those particular times started to draw, the tones started to draw a number of loose neighborhood dogs out up to front steps of the church, and they would howl along, and he would have to send a bunch of kids to chase the dogs out. But every time they hit that certain part, the dogs would show up, and their ears would perk up. They happened to really be taken with certain tones, so that was happening. And then in St. Ignatz, people are trying to get the holiday spirit. They're trying to work it up, and it's tough after a tough summer and fall and last winter and just everything that's gone on. It's really hard to believe, and people are looking, even unconsciously, even if they don't know it, they're looking for it, And Jesse and Joe, the two town derelicts, uh, showed up at a late night midnight mass last year, and they were planning to come this year, but they were usually pretty well schnockered and half in a bag, and they would sing all out of tune. And instead of being mean and nasty, they would kind of humor them for a little while, and then get them a lot of coffee, and kind of say, "Well, practice is over. We only practiced like 20 minutes." And then they would usher them out, saying they did a wonderful job, and then they would go back and do the real practice. So they're planning on for happening again, because Joe and Jesse, sharing a bottle, were talking about it again. So who knows what could happen? Christmas preparation, Still River Radio.